Welcome to this comprehensive tutorial where we will build a fully functional 3D card game using Java. Whether you are a beginner or an experienced developer, you will find valuable insights into 3D graphics programming, game logic, and Java coding practices. Let's dive in. First, let's outline the technologies and frameworks we will use throughout this tutorial. We will be using Java as our programming language, and for 3D graphics, we will look into using JavaFX with its 3D capabilities. Additionally, we'll need Maven for dependency management and JUnit for testing purposes. To get started, ensure you have Java Development Kit, JDK 11 or later, installed, along with Maven. If you haven't set these up yet, pause the video and make sure you have all the necessary tools. Let's create a new Maven project. Open your terminal and run the following command. Once the project is created, navigate into the project directory. Next, let's add dependencies for JavaFX and JUnit in our pom.xml. Open the pom.xml file and add the following. Now, let's create our main application class. Inside the src/main/java/com/example/cardgame directory, create a file named main.java. This will be our entry point where we set up the JavaFX application. We've set up a basic JavaFX application. Next, we'll add 3D functionality. In JavaFX, 3D nodes can be added to the scene graph. Let's create a card model. Next, we will integrate this card into our main application. We will create a card and add it to our scene. Run your application, and you should see a simple white card in the center of the screen. Great! Now, let's add multiple cards and arrange them in a fan shape to create a more visually appealing layout. Now, you should see 5 cards laid out in a fan shape. This design will help us visualize the game better. But we need some card graphics. Let's apply textures to our cards. First, download some card images to use as textures for our cards. You can create simple images or download free ones from the web. Next, let's add functionality to shuffle our deck of cards. We can create a deck class that manages a collection of cards. In our main class, we can instantiate this deck and draw some cards from it. Let's modify the start method to initialize and shuffle the deck. Now that we have a deck of cards that can be shuffled, let's implement a basic scoring system. For this example, we will keep the scoring simple by assigning random values to each card. Each card now has a random score. You can access this score when you create or interact with the cards. To display scores on the cards, we can add text labels. Let's create a method to add these labels. With our score labels in place, we need to implement a simple mechanism to handle player interactions. For this, we will use mouse event handling to pick cards when clicked. Let's modify the card class. Test your application to see if the scores are printed when a card is clicked. This is a great start to building interaction in our game. Next, let's set up the game rules and move towards an objective. You might want to decide how players will win. For instance, the player with the highest score after picking a certain number of cards wins. You can keep track of player scores in the main class or a separate game class. Let's create the game class that handles the game logic, including the player scores, game state, and victory conditions. Here's a basic outline of the game class. Now, return to the main class to instantiate the game class and call the pick card method whenever a card is clicked. This provides a cleaner separation of concerns between gameplay and UI. As our last major feature, let's include a reset mechanism, allowing players to restart the game easily. We can add a button to trigger this reset functionality. We've successfully built the main components of our 3D card game. You can add more features such as animations, sound effects, more complex rules, multiplayer functionality, and much more to enhance gameplay. It's time for a quick recap. We created a JavaFX application with support for 3D graphics, built a simple card game with shuffling and scoring logic, and established basic interaction for players to pick cards. Feel free to extend the game with your creativity. Try adding card animations or a smarter scoring system. Make sure to share your results and experiences. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below about what you would like to see next. Thank you for watching.